Hi, I'm Brian Hess. I'm the editor of the Van Wert Times Bulletin. We are here today with Mayor Ken Markward, Wert Mayor Ken Markward. He is the fifth in our series of interviews that we call Community Conversations, also known as 5 Questions, 5 Answers. Mayor, thank you for being here today.
All right.
Let me just jump into it. Question 1, what are the most pressing challenges facing our community at a local level right now?
Oh, I guess that would depend on who you're asking, because you're going to get a lot of different answers. Some people are going to say they're in a nice spot as far as their very basic needs are met, and they're trying to get our city to get some of the more things that are called quality of life. About 5 years ago, for example, there was a dog park added out near the reservoir. It's not something you have to have. Never had one before, and we would continue to live without one, but it was just one of those nice extras. And so that's something I see some people concentrating on, is what's just a nice little extra we could have. At the same time, you got people who are looking at the more basic needs. Although right now it doesn't seem like anyone should have trouble getting a job. I was surprised, several years ago when I saw some of the businesses putting on billboards and looking for work. I can remember when I was in college in the summers, college students couldn't get jobs. And now, for example, I see, Greif Brothers has a sign out on Irvin Road, no skills required, as far as you don't have to be an electrician or anything like that. Just come on in and got a job for you. So I guess from their point of view, they need workers. Other people are looking to satisfy their basic needs, and other people are looking for quality of life extras.
I've heard the same of Dan Foss. I was talking to someone I knew here in the community who was in his 60s, and he said 45 years ago, Dan Foss was extremely exclusive. And now they're looking for any help they can get, essentially.
It's another one that surprised me. I can't remember if it was Dan Foss yet. It's been through some name changes, but they were having drive-through interviews. You didn't even have to get out of your car. And it was basically, what shift would you like to work? And they're even being flexible with people who, I know I heard Cooper say this. There was a certain number of people who they wanted to be home when their kids got on the bus, and they wanted to be home when the kid got off the bus. And so they worked with them and created their own time schedule. And it wasn't the standard schedule. So there's a lot of flexibility being offered right now because they need people to work.
The role of the media. Question 2, considering the evolving landscape, what role do you see local papers playing in the community 5 years from
now? I'm not very good at predicting the future. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I delivered the Times Bulletin 6 days a week in the afternoons. I never would have predicted that it would have gone to a morning paper. And then it went to 5 days a week, then 2 days a week. And we started receiving it in the mail once a week. There's no way I would have predicted any of that. I can't imagine I could predict 5 years from now. But maybe, since I don't run a newspaper, never will, I'm sure you've looked into different ways of doing it. I'm just going to call it the photo star method. Somehow they have enough revenue off of advertising, they just send it out to everybody. No subscriptions. And of course, then you can advertise that you have massive circulation. And I know the Times Bulletin did that for a while. People who weren't subscribers would get something on Saturday called the Weekly Advertiser or something like that. And then it would have several stories from previously in the week, along with the grocery ads and things like that.
Right.
And of course, I think the phrase they gave was total market penetration, or some such phrase in the business of advertising. So I'm not in charge of your business.
Yeah, I've been here about 1.5 years, and I've heard stories about that. And from what I understand, it was not successful. On the other hand, other people like the Van Wert Independent follow a similar model.
Right. I don't know how many people would read the Independent if they had to pay.
Yeah.
Because they never have.
Right. Question 3. In your opinion, what role should our newspaper play in promoting civic participation and community involvement? Should it play a role?
I guess I hadn't thought about them having that as their task. When I think of newspapers, I think they're telling you about things that happened, especially like local sports, because you're not going to get that if you get the Fort Wayne newspaper. You're not going to have Van Wert sports.
Right.
As well as giving you an idea of what's coming up, like printing the sports schedule, or saying, here, this Peony Festival is coming. So whether or not that, I don't know that that's considered promoting civic engagement, or just telling what has recently happened and what's recently going to happen. Is what I always thought the role of the paper was.
Okay. 4, what community events or activities do you believe our newspaper should cover to better connect with our residents? Anything we're not covering, we should.
Can't think of anything you haven't, because I know you have a variety of people that, I don't know if you call them freelancers or stringers, where they go to a lot of different things. Maybe with Jim Langham doing his interest stories, it's not like a daily feature, but from time to time there's that story in there. I know I've seen when people submit information, that's real easy for you to put that in. And of course, if they don't, how do you know about it?
Right.
But I've seen your people out on a lot of different things, and I can't think of anything that I thought, gosh, I wonder why the paper's not here.
Well, we try to do our best to cover everything that's going on. We can't cover it all, unfortunately. But like you say, between our stringers, our staff, and occasionally press releases, we like to get a good sample of Van Wert County. So, but we're always hoping to do better, to cover more. Okay, last question. Considering the current economic landscape, how can our paper support local businesses and contribute to economic growth?
I think you should probably want the local businesses to answer that question, because I can only guess what they would want. And my hunch is that you're not going to get the same answer from them. The people, retail versus restaurant versus manufacturing, they might give you 3 completely different answers. And I'd only be guessing what you could do to help them. Sometimes you have an idea, but I've never run any of those businesses.
Right.
I mean, it seems like publicity, but maybe they have something specific in mind they'd rather have. I don't know. I can't be very specific on that.
That's okay. Well, I appreciate your time, Mayor. Thank you very much.